Good morning and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, La Crescenta, where it's our dream to help you build and manifest your dreams. We've had quite a run, haven't we, my friends? Staying home, opening up, and staying home again. And still, there are blessings in our lives. I know, just count your blessings. Today, we are so blessed to have Cecilia Celis, our very own Cecilia, as our inspirational musician today, and she is playing chakras, her own original composition.
Hello again. I think now I'd like to energize my chakra. If you want to join me, you can close your eyes if you want. And let's imagine the colors of the rainbow, starting from our solar plexus, going up to the top of our head.
Good God morning, everybody. My name is Laney, Clevenger-White. I'm the practitioner on duty today, and this is our time for a moment of prayer, a moment of just settling in and getting centered so that we can be in that divine energy. So I invite you now just to take a nice, calm, peaceful breath, and as you breathe in that divine breath, know that you are breathing in God, that you are breathing in love, compassion, forgiveness. And as you breathe out, allow yourself to surrender with that same power of love, compassion, and forgiveness. And once again, just breathe in gently and breathe out as you allow yourself to just be centered right here, right now, in this holy instant. And so let's do some forgiveness for our world. Just imagine, if you want to, hold your hands cupped together, that you are holding the world in your hand. And as you are breathing in and breathing out, breathe into the world love, compassion, and forgiveness. See that energy, your breath, uniting with every breath, with every human being on the planet. And in this moment, we are joined together in love and compassion and forgiveness. There is that holy instant where you can just feel and just be in that space. And as we are all one together, we know that we are in this together and we are passing on forgiveness for every human error, for every uncomfortable thought, for every speck of chaos that's going on. In this forgiveness, the energy is purified. And it is purified with love. It is purified with peace. And it is purified with compassion and forgiveness. And as we just continue breathing in and out, know that beyond this moment of prayer, every breath is that breath of love and compassion and forgiveness. And it connects with every single soul that they too feel that same divine energy. Just imagine that glowing light surrounding our earth, coming from the universe, coming from the divine, and creating peace, creating understanding and clarity, creating love. And in that love, there is forgiveness. And so I release this prayer, knowing that is being released in the divine mind, that mind that has a solution for all situations. And in this prayer, we claim it all absolutely to be good. It is God, and it is good. And we are grateful. And we just say, and so it is. Amen.
Now please join me in singing, and so it is. God is all there is. I am one with the Spirit. I realize the truth, and I speak it. I am thankful for it all. I release it. I let it go. And so it is. And so it is. I know it is. And I receive
So today's reading from Science of Mind is on page 457, Divine Forgiveness, Matthew 18:21-22. In the next passage, Jesus clearly explains the meaning of divine forgiveness. He says that we should forgive until 70 times 7. This is but another way of saying that forgiveness is eternal and ever available. What a load dropped from the shoulders of personal responsibility when we realize that the eternal mind holds not against anyone. But to those who feel that this is unfair, it will be a hard saying. What, says one, are not my virtues to be rewarded above those who have none? O foolish one and blind, what do you know about virtue? Has your life always been beyond reproach? Have you never fallen short of the divine calling? Who are you to point the finger of scorn at your brother? The man who feels self-righteousness rise from his petty virtues lives a life of self-delusion. Know this, virtue does not know that it is virtuous, and could it know, it would immediately become vicious. Virtue is sweet as the morning dew, soft as the evening star, and brilliant as the noonday sun. Could the dew tell why it was sweet, the star say why its light is soft, or the sun say why it shines? When we learn to put away our petty virtues with our petty vices, then shall we see clearly, not what either virtue or vice is, but what truth is. The mind which condemns understands not the truth of being, and the heart which would shut the door of its bosom to one who is mistaken strangles its own life, closing its eyes to a greater vision. The biggest life is the one which includes the most. Not that we foster vice or place a premium upon wrongdoing, but that we understand the frailties of human nature and learn to overlook much. To him who loves much, much is forgiven. And so it is.
Good morning. I am Cecilia Celis, and today I will be playing for you a piece from the Romantic period, 19th century. It's by Per Lasson, called Crescendo.
Today's lesson is forgive and forget. And I will be sharing with you a lot of material from Dr. Fred Luskin, Forgive for Good. He had and was involved in the Stanford Forgiveness Project. And these are his words. I am a senior consultant in health promotion at Stanford University, where I teach people ways to manage their stress and to live lives of greater satisfaction. I do this in part to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease and to help their bodies maintain health and well-being. If anything happened to me in the midst of doing this work, I started to research the effect that forgiveness had on physical and emotional well-being. And bless his heart, he recognized that. He could have just gone on with his other research, but he recognized how important forgiveness was. Towards that end, I developed a simple process of teaching people to let go of the grudges and grievances they carried around. As I started to teach forgiveness, I discovered that an unexpectedly large number of people responded to this work with fascination, confusion, enthusiasm, and even mistrust. And almost no one knew for certain exactly what forgiveness was and why it might be useful to study. And since August is International Forgiveness Month, and this first day of August is International Forgiveness Day, we're bringing you the information that can help you forgive and forget. So Dr. Luskin goes on to say, my research has shown that learning to forgive helps people hurt less, experience less anger, feel less stress, and suffer less depression. My research also shows that as people learn to forgive, they become more hopeful, optimistic, and compassionate. As people learn to forgive, they become more forgiving in general, not just towards one particular person who did them wrong. Our research has also shown that forgiveness has physical health benefits. People who learn to forgive report significantly fewer symptoms of stress, such as backache, muscle tension, dizziness, fewer symptoms of physical health that many people have experienced. Upset stomach is one of them. In addition, people report improvements in appetite, sleep patterns, energy, and general well-being. Finally, one research project showed that angry people with high blood pressure showed a decrease in both anger and blood pressure when they were taught to forgive. If forgiveness is so good for us, why do so few of us choose to forgive when people hurt us? First, no one has taught us how to forgive. The religious traditions usually tell us to forgive. Jesus told us 7 times 7, which is 49, but he meant forever. The religious traditions don't offer practical steps as to how. We live in a culture that prizes the expression of anger and resentment more than the peace of forgiveness. In addition, most people are confused about what forgiveness is and is not. Because of this, too many do not take the opportunity to heal themselves, sometimes from great emotional pain and physical consequences that result. First, forgiving an offense such as an adulterous affair does not mean you condone the affair. I am reminded often that we can only forgive that which we know to be wrong. Your partner's affair was wrong, but you do not have to suffer indefinitely because you were betrayed. Secondly, forgiveness in no way means you have to reconcile with someone who badly treated you. If you are the recipient of childhood abuse or are in a harsh relationship, You can forgive the offender, and as part of that choice, make the decision to end or limit contact. Forgiveness is primarily for creating your peace of mind. It is to create healing of your life and return you to a state where you can live capable again of love and trust. Many of our congregants know, and some of you at home do not know, I came from a very tumultuous home. It was kind of a schizophrenic home. My mother was a saint, and my dad, when he was good, he was very, very good. When he was bad, he was very, very bad. And I've forgiven my father for all the things that happened, but just a few years ago, my siblings and I realized where his problem began. He was a World War II veteran, and he was one of the troops that liberated death camps. He saw some horrible things. And when he came home, he began drinking. And he wasn't a happy drunk. He was an angry drunk and caused a lot of things in my home. But I forgave him. But we did realize that it was post-traumatic stress syndrome. Post-traumatic stress syndrome affects so many of our veterans today. More with Dr. Luskin. Another misconception about forgiveness is that it depends on whether or not the abuser or lying person apologizes, wants you back, or changes his or her ways. If another person's poor behavior was a determinant for your healing, then the unkind and selfish people in your life would retain power over you indefinitely. You know, I'm reminded a woman, a friend of mine, was a neighbor, and she divorced her husband because he was an alcoholic and he abused her. And so after she divorced him, one of her husband's friends came to her and said, "I would like to date you." And she said, "Okay." And they'd go out to dinner or lunch, and he always drank, just like her husband did. And then he said, "I'd like to marry you." And she said, "No, not unless you give up alcohol." Guess what he did? He went to the Betty Ford Clinic. I officiated at their wedding, and we toasted with non-alcoholic beverages. You see, people can change when they choose to. Finally, you can forgive your ex-spouse for the insulting speech and even for abandoning you and your children. And I have it's kind of a funny story here, but it isn't really. I've mentioned before in my talks that my father left my mom with 7 kids. And in 1965, she decided to come here and bring the kids. And it was good. I was here. I was married to my children's father. Her parents were here, so it was a really, really good move. But something interesting happened after that. When she left town, she gave the keys to the realtor. My dad was in another town. He did not know she had moved. And she came here in August 1965. In November, he decided to go by the house, say hello to the kids, found an empty house, and didn't know what was happening. Now, my grandparents lived in Southern California, but my grandmother was with my mom in Whittier, helping her with the kids through that first winter. And my grandfather, bless his heart, never paid much attention to family dynamics. He called my grandparents home, and my grandfather gave my father my mother's telephone number. Can you only imagine her shock when she picked up that phone and there he was? And she related the conversation to me later. And I said, "What did you say?" She said, "I just kept saying, I'm happy here. I'm happy here." But the clincher was this. What he said to her, "Wasn't I worth waiting for?" And she said, "I'm happy here." And that ended that. And she did not harbor any resentment to him. We kids may have, but he didn't. She didn't. So this again is Dr. Luskin. What I have seen time and time again is that people have the capacity to make peace with the past. They regain their ability to trust and love and stop blaming other people for their emotional distress. They take more time to count their blessings and less to complain about what went wrong. They understood that they need to look more at who they become and less on what has happened. And they grasp that each day they wake up with a fresh start, no matter what happened to them yesterday. They learn to forgive and heal in both body, mind, and spirit. And so Dr. Luskin has these 9 steps process that will help you forgive. And just close your eyes and listen to these, because they are very, very powerful and they work. Number 1, know exactly how you feel about what happened and be able to articulate what about the situation is not okay. Then tell a trusted couple of people about your experience. Number 2, and this is a biggie, make a commitment to yourself to do what you have to do to feel better. Forgiveness is for you, and not anyone else. Number 3, forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation with that person that hurt you or condoning their action. What you are after is to find peace of mind. Forgiveness can be defined as the peace and understanding that comes from blaming that which has hurt you less, taking the life experience less personally, and changing your grievance story. Get the right perspective on what is happening. Get the right perspective. This is number 4. Recognize that your primary distress is coming from the hurt feelings, thoughts, and physical upset you are suffering now, not what has offended you or hurt you 2 minutes or 10 years ago. Forgiveness helps to heal those hurt feelings. We have a way, my friends, and I don't probably have to tell you this, but we have a way of letting things stick in our brain files about past hurts. And every once periodically they come up. In me they do. And I just say, I love, bless, and release that memory, that emotion. I release it totally, perfectly, and completely. And then I tell the file clerk in my brain file, let that go. Delete that from my brain file. Number 5, at the moment you feel upset about a simple stress management technique to soothe your body's flight or fight response. And number 6, give up expecting things from other people. Expectation is powerful. So give that up. Or your life that they do not choose to give you. Recognize the unenforceable rules you have for your health or how you or other people must behave. Remind yourself that you can hope for health, love, peace, and prosperity, and work hard to get them. Put your energy into looking for another way to get your positive goals met than through the experience that has hurt you. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but there are no victims. And if you consider yourself a victim, it's because you have chosen to be. And then the other question is, what kind of mileage are you getting out of being a victim? Instead of mentally replaying your hurt, seek out new ways to get what you want. Leave all of that behind. Number 8, remember that a life well lived is your best revenge. Instead of focusing on your wounded feelings and thereby giving the person who caused you pain power over you, learn to look for the love, beauty, and kindness around you. Forgiveness is about personal power. Claim your power. And then again, amend your grievance story to remind you of the heroic choice to forgive. And then again, a reminder, our brain is full of files, many, many, many files. And you can choose to delete those. You just say, I call it my smart brain. I say, smart brain, delete that file. Maybe the memory can remain there, but I don't want the emotion that goes with it. So just remember now, August is International Forgiveness Month. I encourage you to write down those things that you would like to forgive and then forget. And so ends our lesson.
And now it's time for our offertory ideas about sharing. And first, I'd like to thank you all very much for your donations. They absolutely support our center, and in turn, the abundance that you share returns back to you. And in the description below the video, there is a link to donate, where you may click on it and then make your donation there. So now, read along with me in the comfort of your own home, our affirmation. The words are on the screen. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of the spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Thank you.
So now is our time for our offertory song, I Am So Blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so thankful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so thankful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so thankful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so thankful, I am so blessed.
Good morning, and now for today's true story. It was autumn, and the Indians on a remote reservation asked their new chief if the winter was going to be cold or mild. Since he was an Indian chief in a modern society, he had never been taught the old-time secrets. He looked at the sky and he couldn't tell whether the weather was going to be. Nevertheless, to be on the safe side, he replied to the tribe that the winter was going to be cold and that the members of the village should collect firewood and be prepared. Also, being a practical leader, after several days he got an idea. He went to the phone booth and called the National Weather Service and asked, "Is it going to be cold or mild this winter?" "It looks like the winter is going to be quite cold indeed," the meteorologist at the Weather Service replied. So the chief went back to his people and told them to collect even more wood in order to be prepared. A week later, he called the National Weather Service again. "Is it going to be a very cold winter?" he said. "Yes," the man at the National Weather Service again replied. "It's definitely going to be a very cold winter." The chief went back to his people and ordered them to collect every scrap of wood they could find. 2 weeks later, he called the National Weather Service again and said, "Are you absolutely sure the winter is going to be very cold?" "Absolutely," the meteorologist replied. "It's going to be one of the coldest winters ever." "How can you be so sure?" the chief asked. The weatherman replied, "The Indians are gathering wood like crazy." Good morning.
And now our benediction. Put your hand over your heart and just know this together with me. Something wonderful is happening through you right now. It's happening through your mind, your body, and every aspect of your life. You think it, you know it, you believe it, you accept it. You are never alone, for God is right where you are. And so it is.
Please join me in singing the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, now it has begun with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other